Hello everybody, this is Carol from Friendly Quail. I'm going to do a flip through my Old West journal that's called The Cowboys. And I didn't show any of this on camera because I haven't been feeling the best and I'm going to the doctor and all that type of thing. So I just did this in little tiny portions when I felt up to sitting for a while. So hopefully all that'll be taken care of soon, and I'll be back to doing demos and tutorials. But this one, I have a tie on here. It's just a rawhide lace type tie. And I have it tied in a square knot and looped around 3 times. But it comes completely off. This was a book from the Time Life series, and it says The Old West The Cowboys, and it had this, it's like a hand tool leather on the book, and it didn't have a very big signature, spine, so I put 3 signatures in. It's a little bit alligator, but not too bad. I didn't want to make it, I wanted to keep the spine because I thought it was cool. So I just made, and it's very large pages. This book is, excuse me, about 8.5 wide and 11. It's sort of like the size of a regular piece of copy paper. So, with that said, I did use some of the things from the book, from the pages of the book. This was the first page, and I Frankensteined it because the book wasn't big enough to be just by itself. Or I had scrapbook paper, which is 12 by 12, and I needed it to be 18. So I kind of put it together with, so the end of this signature, where is it? Has a whole piece of scrapbook paper, and then it came onto here just partially. So even though I also added this on top of it because I like the color better than the blue, so I made a pocket out of it and onto the front. And these are some pieces as well from scrapbook paper, and I have this ribbon on it. Now there's a pocket in the front. I was able to keep the original end papers by using the fly leaf, that fly paper or whatever they call it, that would go over as a pocket. And I did that in both the front and the back. So we have a pocket, and I'll show you that later. And then some of the things from the book, I just back them with coffee dyed paper, and they become a big journaling space. And I had these little ones on here that were like copies that was also in the book. They had pages of these old half-dime magazine books for the Cowboys, and then there were some pages with pictures of the Cowboys, and I backed them, and I put distress ink on it to make it look more like sepia, I think you say it, the color, because they were just gray and white. So I have a number of these throughout the book. This is one of the little books made into a card, and I have the dehorning clipper ad right there. Now, I have this page was from the book, and I had some things from another book that was about no, my brain is going blank. The type of fencing that has the points on it. Oh my gosh, I'll get it. And I just made a little pocket out of that one. The pages, there's pages that I did with the crumple method of tea dyeing, and then I distressed around the edges, and so it kind of looks old. Some pages that are completely free of anything, just journal space, and I have more of the Cowboys just scattered throughout that. Okay, here's a pocket I made. Barbed wire. I knew it would come to me. These are barbed wire patterns that were in the book, and I made these into journal cards. And I made this pocket that shows the roping of a cow in the steps. And I sewed with this, and I have that on a few of the pages that I Frankenstein, because it sort of reminded me of barbed wire, because it had these little pokes on it. So, well, doesn't matter. I put this on so that there's a pocket in the top, and then I sewed across so there's separate pockets like this, and just put those in there. This is the color I sewed it together with, even though it's a hollow back spine, and I just made it brown because it just seemed the right color. So we got more pages. Here's another cowboy in dime book. Here's another one. And then this was one of my Frankenstein pages, and I made this into a pocket. And this is some of that metal trim, and I put that on there, and this was one of the pictures from the book where it was a bunch of the cowboys posing. So made that into a big journal card. Then here we have that pocket, and I have recipes from the autocrat of the kitchen, and it was talking about the ranch's cook shack. Says, was a private realm ruled over by a cantankerous autocrat. As a permanent member of the outfit, he wielded even more power than the itinerant cooks who filled in on his roundup on the trail. Aloof from the rest of the men, he slept in the cook shack rather than in the bunkhouse. But when they're on the trail, then they had the wagon, the chuck wagon, and these are just some of the recipes, like son of a bitch stew. Yeah, okay. It has things in it like calf liver and half a calf heart and things like that. This is the beginning of the second signature. And I did some stenciling. And this is a picture that was in the book that was a cabinet card of two guys got taken. And I made that into a journaling card. Got another cowboy here, along with the book. I did these all as little tuck spots. Okay, and here I just have like a little pocket with a cowboy in it, and this is a bag from the James Museum in St. Pete, Florida. Is the James Museum of Western Art and Wildlife. So they have a lot of Western art. They have Native American art. They have things that were done by people in the very beginning, going out there, you know, things like that. And I have some things from the book that I put in. Here's a stern code, like for cattle. If you were an employee of this cattle company, you can't carry a pistol, dirk, dagger, slingshot, knuckles, bowie knife, or any other similar instruments. So, contrary to popular belief, the cowboys did not always carry guns. They would make you put it away. They couldn't play cards. They couldn't use any liquor or intoxicating spirits or whatever while they were with the company. They can't take any loafers or deadbeats or tramps and entertain them at the camp, or they can't sell them any food, and they can't run mustang, antelope, or any kind of game on the company's horses. They couldn't own any cattle or stock horses. So some very different rules than you would expect maybe from early cowboys. This is just a letter that someone had written while on the trail. So I have that in the bag. And just an advertisement for Lumpjaw. It was something you'd buy if your it was for infections in there. Texas stock root and another barbed wire patent. But this is like they were looking for people to run drive the cattle, and the railway would say, oh, you know, go this way because then we can take your final, when you get it to the end, we'll take your final cattle onto the railroad route. Okay, here's another cowboy, and just a guide map. They had the Texas, the railways would give them guide maps of how to drive the cattle along. If you want to ship cattle on the railroad, you know, we have these incentives for you. These are lullabies for jittery cows. Cowboy ballads originated as a means of quieting stampede-prone cattle at night, and so they would sing to them. And it said some had mournful tunes but no words and were termed Texas lullabies. Others had standard verses, and they have a couple of samples on the bottom. Okay, inside of here I have just some Western art and some different styles of cowboy boots. This is from the barbed wire book, and it was talking about the tools that they had. And then this is Pawnee Bill's historic Wild West advertisements, so that you could see, because sometimes the cowboys would ride in the entertainment shows when they weren't running the cattle. And this one has some of their tools and you know, how they would, what they would use to make fence and things like that. And then some barbed wire samples. Okay. This one is just a picture that was in the book. He's holding a calf in a snowstorm. He had gotten lost from the herd, and this was a photograph taken of the cowboy bringing it back. And I made it into a journaling card. A little stenciling and some Western style trim. Okay. And this is the end of the second signature, beginning of the third. I have a cowboy. This guy was a famous cowboy. He eventually was in entertainment shows too. But he was a slave, and he escaped and went out west and became a cowboy. Okay, here I Frankenstein paper with that stitch. I have a cowboy in a little pocket here. This one here, I have, you can open it up for journaling space. And if you open it, this page is on here. And this was a 1877 advertisement for the Glidden barbed wire. It's telling how great it is and how it helps keep cattle off railroad tracks and things like that. And this guy was a salesman. Okay, and then I have just a little fabric pocket that I made with a little, I used some, like a little lariat on it, some of the twine. And a cowboy. Another cowboy. this was also a photograph taken of one of the cowboys, and I made it into a journal card. And this barbed wire part goes over and becomes a pocket on the other side as well. And this is showing different types of saddles that were used by the cowboys over a 50-year stretch. Then this one, I used this as a tuck spot. It was talking about Wichita, Kansas, and the military post where you could be safe and things like that. And then I made this one, was two of the things into a little booklet where it's just mostly blank pages that are copy dyed, pretty much, other than has some of the fencing that was on the opposite side of the picture of that, so I just kept it in there and made a little booklet. Okay, and a cowboy, and my last page I have my little stamp on there, and then the back has a pocket with a stirrup type card in it. And this is not backed because I thought it was interesting on both sides. It's talking about branding and the different symbols that were used to brand the cattle. And then it said the cowboys carried notebooks because they would round up cattle, and some would belong to one person and some would belong to somebody else. So they would write down all the brands and who they belonged to. And that way they could split the cattle up when they brought them in, depending on whose they were. So I just have that stuck in this last pocket. And that is the end. So I hope you enjoyed the flip through. It's a pretty open, I kept it more masculine, but it's a pretty open, there's a lot of writing space in it. But I also have interesting things about the Old West and the cowboys. So thanks for being with me today. I hope you enjoyed the flip through, and I'll see you in the next video. This is Carol from Friendly Quail saying bye.